All right, cool. Let me go over to Twitch right now.
Start replay buffer so I don't forget that. Not that I've used it, but hey.
Pero no me atrevo a textearte. Tú solo bailas en mi mente, mi amor. No hay nadie más con que prefiera bailar. Aguanta y baila. Como fuego iluminamos el cielo con nuestro amor. Aguanta y baila siempre. Baby, quiero nadar en tus palmas. No necesito sombra ni paraguas. Mi amor, me gusta cuando estamos ahí. Botella como será calentita. Y no tengo mucho que perder. Yo aguanta para mí. Yo te enseño, baby, todo lo que te mereces, mami. No hay nadie más con que prefiera bailar. Aguanta y baila. Cuando agarro tu cuerpo nunca lo suelto. Encima de mi baby siempre te siento. Siempre te siento. Siento. No hay nadie más con que prefiera bailar. Aguanta y baila. Como fuego iluminamos el cielo con nuestro amor. Aguanta y baila siempre. Y ya llegó el momento de dejarte. Siempre me duele cuando estamos aparte. Nos pasamos muy bien juntos. Dejemos nuestra huella y punto. Estoy loco por tocarte, pero no me atrevo a textarte. Tú solo bailas en mi mente, mi amor. No hay nadie más con que prefiera bailar. Aguanta y baila. Como fuego iluminamos el cielo con nuestro amor. Aguanta y baila siempre. Y ya llegó el momento de dejarte. Siempre me duele cuando estamos aparte. Nos pasamos muy bien juntos. Dejemos nuestra huella y punto. Clarito, para siempre. No fui el primero, ni seré el último, pero sé que lo gozaré. Para serte sincero, un Dios el que te enseñó lo que puedes hacer con mi piel. Baby, si se nos da, será lo que será, los dos vamos a matar, toda esa curiosidad. Baby, si se nos da, será lo que será, los dos vamos a matar, toda esa curiosidad. Solo yo sé de ese lunar, solo tú comes el pastel. Con estilo siempre te vas, pero te vienes con un placer. Me dijiste no quiero nada, pero quieres todo, mujer. Baby, yo te hago soñar, algo más rico que la miel, mi droga que te legalicen. No digamos el pecado, que hay cosas que no se dicen. Y en la piel tú y yo jugando, baby, para que te dices. Y tú solo dices que quieres más, que matemos la curiosidad. Eso hacemos, baby, si se nos da, será lo que será, los dos vamos a matar, toda esa curiosidad. Baby, baby, para que tú goces. No somos algo serio, pero bien si me conoces. Ya, tú eres el antojo de mi vida. De tanto que te pienso ya no encuentro la salida. Pero no somos nada, nada, girl. Pero no somos nada, nada, girl. Baby, si se nos da, será lo que será, los dos vamos a matar, toda esa curiosidad. Baby, si se nos da, será lo que será, los dos vamos a matar, toda esa curiosidad. promised I would wait for you, but I'm getting so impatient. Tell me that you're ready now. This room is big enough for two, and I wanna do that something that will blow your mind. Do you know the things you do to me? Touch me and I'll make you understand. Yeah. Do you know the things you make me feel? I can show you if you take my hand. I just wanna dance, dance, dance with you. Let me take you under where nobody can see. I just wanna dance, dance, dance with you. Hotter than the summer, so put your hands on me. Put your hands on me, on me, on me. Put your hands on me, on me, on me. Put your hands on me, on me, on me. Put your hands on me, on me, on me, Before you, I was paralyzed, all broken down from heartbreaks. Then you came and set me free. You've taken me to paradise, where nothing is a mistake, where we move so flawlessly. Do you know the things you do to me? Touch me and I'll make you understand. Yeah. Do you know the things you make me feel? I can show you if you take my hand. I just wanna dance, dance, dance with you. Let me take you under where nobody can see. I just wanna dance, dance, dance with you. Hotter than the summer, so put your hands on me. Put your hands on me, on me, on me. Put your hands on me, on me, on me. Put your hands on me, on me, on me. Put your hands on me, on me, on me, on me, on me, on me, on me. Put your hands on me, put your hands on me, put your hands on me. I just wanna dance, dance, dance with you. Let me take you under where nobody can see. I just wanna dance, dance, dance with you. Hotter than the summer, so put your hands on me. Put your hands on me.
Yo, what's up, everybody? I feel like I'm delayed because I'm just running a bit slow this evening.
What's up, guys?
Sorry, I had to mute the Twitch stream. Forgot I had that on. I was like, wait a second, what's this? What's my voice sound that I'm hearing in the background? That's why. Yeah, guys, this is Generation Orange. I am one of your co-hosts, Sean Ringrose, and joining me, as always, is the ever handsome and beautiful
Mark Segovia, man, what's going on, guys? Just excited to be here with you again. Third consecutive week. I think this is a new record for us, Sean.
Yeah, it certainly feels like it.
Yeah, man. You know, obviously, you know, it's great to be here every Wednesday with you guys. You know, and it's great to have you guys. You know, especially the early worms. You know, in the chat on Twitch. We've been chanting it up. Obviously, a lot of things going on globally in football with Champions League and all that stuff we're talking about. And then obviously, you know, a little bit of Dynamo news as well, which we'll get into later on. But beforehand, Sean, let me take the stage for a little bit, man. I just want to say something real quick that's been on my mind, you know, if you don't mind. Obviously, you know, we know the tragic events that happened at Querétaro this past weekend, you know, on Saturday, in the Atlas match. And an unfortunate event, man. You know, a lot of different reports about people dying, or if people died or people didn't die, or they haven't reported the true number of deaths, or whatever the case, a huge black eye for Liga MX, soccer in general, and to see what the president of Liga MX handed down to Querétaro and to the squad and everybody involved. To be honest, I feel like it was a little bit of a slap in the wrist. Like I said, I haven't gone back to see the official reports of if people really died or if they didn't. Hopefully nobody did, but if people did, man, it's an even bigger slap in the face to those families affected by this tragedy that happened, man. And it's an unfortunate thing that corruption in soccer, money talks, and lives don't matter. The safety of the fans don't matter. I myself, when I first saw this, I was at a get together with a couple of friends, and I kept getting notifications about it, and usually I'm watching soccer during that time period, man, and I didn't understand what the hell was going on until I actually saw the videos pop up on social media, man, and to see people laying there unconsciously and then have people just kick them across the head already unconscious, man. It's humanity, in all honesty, man, we become savages, man, and it's a shame, that this small group of people ruined this whole, a whole great thing that could have been for the fans that were there, watching, who were there just to support their team. It's a shame. I honestly am in the opinion that Mexico should be taking off World Cup 2026, if especially because of what's happened. If they don't have the security or manpower to make sure that people traveling to that country and to those stadiums can go in there and feel protected with no outside influences, then they shouldn't host a World Cup at all. And that goes to any country. That goes for any country. And hopefully, I mean, I'm hoping that this doesn't ever happen again. But unfortunately, it happened this time, and it shouldn't even happen this time. So, my thoughts and prayers go out to those people affected by that situation in Querétaro. And, hopefully, some good comes out of this at the end. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm a pretty heavy Twitter follower of a lot of soccer people on Twitter. And when it all went down and the videos started, being shared around and tweets were going, it was really, I'm going to call it surreal to kind of see it all transpiring the way that it did. And then to see how long it took Liga MX to come down with any sort of decision around the remainder of the matches for the night and the next day. And then the delay in releasing any sort of discipline. And then and I'm going to be honest, the absolute gall to sit there by the Liga MX president and say that, Liga MX needs the, what did he call it? Oh God. He really fuzzed the phrase a lot. Instead of it being a supporters group, it was like, oh man, I wish I could remember I wish I could find the tweet too. Cause man, it was disheartening as a fan of soccer on the global stage, and someone who's come to enjoy what Liga MX offers in terms of soccer / football. And but what he had to say was basically to the effect of, we need these groups and they bring so much to the matches that it would be a disservice to to come down with any sort of ban to the group on the whole. We'll focus on individual fans. My issue and my concern is, you have now set the precedent that in the event of something else like this happening, what is your next step? You've basically said, well, we're not going to ban the fans because they're that important, and the whole idea of they're not going to allow away fans, to some extent. Okay, that's fine, but you can't police that. If I'm a fan of another team, as long as I'm not wearing the other team's, colors, you're not going to know that I was a fan of the other team. And that's, I look at it from a logistics perspective, because again, I'm a guy who I work within the response industry and the communications industry, and every point of that process that was gone through, and let's be honest, let's be real. You cannot, Mark, say with a straight face that Querétaro did not end up just being a scapegoat for what happened. They were basically thrown under the bus as a club and organization. Now, they deserve a lot of the blame and a lot of the focus, but it should not all be completely on Querétaro for what happened.
This is an issue, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Sean.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I know you're passionate about this.
Yeah, no, this is an issue that has to do with just all around the league, for Liga MX and everything. Because I mean, obviously we know that soccer fans and soccer passion is something that some other fan bases don't understand around the world, right? You have the ultras in Europe and excuse me, and you have obviously passionate fans in South America. We had the whole incident, with Boca Juniors and River Plate not too long ago at the Copa Libertadores final, where it had to be moved to Spain, and they played in Madrid because of an incident that happened between those two clubs. So we know that this is not a situation that hasn't happened before prior with injuries, But with that being said, you're the biggest thing in your country. You're the biggest sport in your country. The fact that families were out there put in danger like this in a environment where they should be able to feel safe. Just put yourself in their shoes. Pretend we're at a Dynamo game and you bring your kids out. And you're out there having fun, sharing a hot dog, rooting on D's or rooting on the team. And all of a sudden you just have a bunch of people just come out of nowhere and just start swinging on people and just landing haymakers and fighting people. And then just, ripping your clothes off and just, whatever they can do, to harm you. And you're just there, having a family outing, having to try to have a good time at a soccer match. It's a shame, that this has happened, Unfortunately, it happened at Querétaro, and obviously because it happened there, they are the scapegoat for this issue, and they're being out there hung out to dry. But honestly, it's a whole league issue. It's a whole league issue. Now, like I said, going back to the punishments, it's very lighthearted, very very lighthearted.
I know how you described it as a slap on the wrist.
It definitely was. I mean, to ban the fans for a year, for them to play behind closed doors for a year, and then 3-year ban for I think it was the away fans and stuff like that. Dude, that's nothing. That's nothing. I mean, like I said, people's lives were affected that day.
Yep.
Like the videos that I've seen out there, some of these people, if they came to back to consciousness, they're not going to be the same. To take head kicks like that in the head, the way these people were kicking people's heads across with their foots, man, it's a shame. It's a black eye for the world of soccer, and FIFA, CONCACAF needs to get involved and lay down something heavier for Liga MX, and FIFA needs to go in there and say, you know what, Mexico, thank you very much, but we no longer need you for a World Cup 2026.
Yeah, I same boat. Getting a little yeah. I look at it and I think that's a good point, Finn. Is it a culture thing? We already deal with the P word when it comes to the Mexican national team, and I would say even Liga MX to some extent that it's pervasive there as well. I think if I look at it as an outside observer, the first thing I notice is how, and to your exact point, how light the punishments were and how focused they were on a singular club and a singular, the way that the punishment came down. It was very clear, even as an outside observer that doesn't know a lot about Liga MX, that this was, clearly more about the potential loss of money than the concern over the loss of actual lives. And as you said, the effect of what took place on multiple people's lives. There was no, I said it in chat. It felt like there was no remorse from the league or from the president or, or anybody in a seat of authority or power about what took place. It was the most remorse I saw were from, was from outside of Liga MX. It was from, various individuals tied to soccer globally talking about how this sort of thing can't stand. And I come back to that because we're in a time right now where, what a hell of a time for this to happen in Liga MX, where, we cannot deny that there's other significantly violent global things going on in the world. And, you just want to escalate and you want to bring something else into the mix of those people who want to be, let's be clear, who want to be xenophobic, who want to be very insular, into who they are and where they come from. And, something like this happens, and instead of addressing it, you just kind of shake it off. You just kind of ignore it. Well, it gives more credence to what those people are, what those people want to focus on, which is, what Finn said. It's all about the culture type thing, or it's related to culture. And I think you have to be super careful when you start going down that path.
Yeah, and this is the last thing I'm gonna say about this, and I don't want to carry too much on this because we got a show to do about the Dynamo.
I'm glad you brought it up, though. Thank you.
But yeah, man. But like the fact that games still played on after that happened, because it was a pretty early game. I mean, it wasn't the latest game, but it was just a simple sign of like, dude, come on. It's basically a state of emergency for your league. I mean, when something like that happens, and you don't know what's going on, and then with reports of people dying there, I mean, dude, like that's when you need to be like, you know what, we need to step back and stop. And look, I'm not gonna get into the whole narrative of of things of why things happened or there was influence from outside presence or whatever. I'm not gonna get into all that. Whatever reports that the federal government does or the police department there does, and whatever they find out, right? But case in point is it shouldn't have happened at all. So, but yeah, with that being said, like I said, thoughts and prayers to the families out there affected and Querétaro, man. So
I think this is a great transition that gets us back to Dynamo and still allows us to kind of talk about this from an MLS perspective. I think H-Town Pursuit's question is a really valuable one that I think we need to discuss. MLS is in a tough spot too, with all the ties they've been trying to develop with Liga MX, both publicly and privately. What do they see happening in the future? What changes do they, would they try to enforce? Obviously there's the what do they call it? The Nations League or whatever. I don't remember what they call it.
Look, Sean. I'm gonna tell you one thing, and I'm gonna tell you one thing quickly, and this might answer the question real quick.
That's all I need. And that's all I need.
The thing about Liga MX, the Mexican Federation, or just Mexico in general, it's the golden goose for FIFA. Money wise, and anywhere Mexico can play at the end of at the corner of the earth, and you'll have 10,000, 20,000 Mexican fans in that stadium. The thing with Liga MX and MLS obviously trying to connect was because MLS being an up and coming league and Liga MX kind of faltering a little bit. They kind of seen that they can help each other out, hand in hand. Now, as commissioner of MLS, if I'm Don Garber, now that this has happened, do I step back and say, maybe, you know what? Maybe I don't need Liga MX as much as I thought I needed them,
Yeah.
Obviously the fan base would be great to be connected, to create rivalries and things like that. That's great. But look, you can create rivalries by having competitions, international competitions, just like the European teams, even though the Super League was a thought, whatever, and we would love to see teams like Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich all the time, whatever. But that's what makes it special when those teams actually get to play each other in a competition that means something. When the Dynamo used to have the rivalry with Pachuca, it meant something when we saw those guys, because that means that we were one of the top teams in MLS. They were one of the top teams in Liga MX, and when we saw each other, we were playing for something. To water that down and just have them play because we're trying to, just to cheapen ourselves and get some more fans on the MLS side is kind of whatever. Look, focus on the fan base that you got at home. as point example with the Dynamo, right? Yeah, the Dynamo, they're targeting Mexican players because we have a large Mexican culture here in Houston, which makes sense, right? The same thing with Central Americans and things like that. That's why we have Panamanian players, Salvadorian players, Honduran players, and all those other type of players to connect with the culture that's here in Houston. But with that being said, I mean, look, if we didn't sign Herrera or whatever, at the end of the day, if your team is winning, the fans will show out. That's always remained true to me as far as fan bases goes. Now there's a small fan base out there in each game that might not show out, like you think of teams like the Tampa Bay Rays or whatever, great teams, but they never have fans out there or whatever. But for the most part, if your team is winning and they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing to win and bringing a good product to the pitch, court, field, wherever you're hosting your event, people are going to show out and they're going to come out and support.
Yeah, for sure. So let's transition to our first topic of the day. Mark, would you like
first,
to
Sean,
I was going to say one question of the day.
Well, it's related to Twitter, man. But I just want to
go for it.
I just want to give a round of applause to the people out there. I saw the Generation Orange account went over 800 followers. So, guys, I appreciate a round of applause to all you guys, and I'm pretty sure all of you guys follow us. So hey, let's get it to 1,000 as soon as we can. And all that great stuff. But yeah, round of applause to you guys for that. Now the poll question of the day. Every showtime that we try to have a poll question today, so that way we have something to talk about. Obviously we trying to get on here prior a couple of minutes on before the actual show starts, so that way we can talk about some stuff. But a lot of stuff on Twitter has been said after the SKC game. Sean, I don't know if you said you're been heavy on Twitter and stuff like that. Obviously, you follow all the Dynamo news and everything that's going on.
I mean, I was quoted. Hold up, I was quoted in a Dynamo Theory article this week from the Twitter account. Yeah, I happened to catch it. Talking about because somebody had replied to my tweet, talking about my frustrations and how I'm at the point where yes, I'm going to continue to give Paolo more time, but I need to see an adaptation, right? And I know that's going to tie into your poll question of the day, which is great. But it was really funny because in the article they used that tweet, and then somebody had replied to that tweet and said "fuera Nagamura," and so they used that as a whole springboard to start talking about firing Nagamura and the fan sentiment around that. Even though most fans are pretty content with where the way things are moving forward.
Okay, so let's get to the question real quick, and then we can obviously give out our opinions about it, and then we can I ask the people in the chat on here as well, and then go back and forth about it, because I think it's a topic that I think a lot of people have a lot of thought in and want to see happen, but sometimes be careful what you wish for. But anyway, so the question is, so there's been some criticism about the play from the midfield and the lack of creativity and distribution. What three midfields do you want to see start? The choices were as is Vera, Memo, and Seren, which have been the starting three midfielders for the first two games. Do you want to see Vera, Seren, and Coco take off Memo? Do you want to see Vera, Quintero, and Coco take off both Memo and Seren, or other? And write in your comments, and I'll go over some of the three that they've chosen, but. Outstanding, result here. 79% want Vera, Quintero, and Coco to start this Saturday versus Vancouver. Now we'll see if that happens. We'll see how close we're close to being right. But regardless of that, one person out there, which I'm guessing it's a Frisco fan or maybe an Austin fan, who knows, want to keep it as is. Which hey, look, defensively, the Dynamo have only allowed one goal. So, I mean, if we're looking at this thing, the half glass full, hey, one goal against SKC and Colorado, was it Colorado? No, RSL, I'm sorry. It's not too bad. But, I mean, obviously, it would be a lot better if we were scoring goals. 9% of the people said they wanted to see Vera, Seren, and Coco. So 9% of y'all think Memo's the problem as the main focus point of linking up with the forwards, which I honestly think, and I know, Sean, you feel strongly about Memo as a playmaker not being up to par to be able to distribute and be able to get the ball to Ferreira and Fafa and Baird. and 9% of you as well said other. And let me give you some of the other combinations that they had out here. Vera, Jones, and Coco, obviously before the news of Jones being traded. Vera, Coco, and Palomino, which is, I know a lot of you guys out there want to see Palomino out there on the pitch. And to be honest, I'm with you. I mean, the kid was brought in with a lot of hype around him. Obviously, he had some trials in Portugal and Spain, so, and there was a lot of hype around him, and we've yet to see him at a consistent basis with the first team. And obviously, he did a great job last year at the UCL club that he was with. And another one was Vera, DQ, and Seren. So that this one would be taking off. Vera, DQ, Quintero, and Seren. So that would just be taking off Memo for Quintero. Sean, your thoughts? What combination of three that would you want to go with if you were Paulo this Saturday?
I'm not starting Quintero because Quintero is not yet ready to go longer than a half, and I would rather bring him in later in the match. I know that's a lot of creativity on the bench, but it is what it is. I would sub out Memo for Coco, so I would have Coco, Seren, and Vera as my three starter midfielders. If I was Paulo and I was faced with that decision, I think Coco has said he feels he's between 90 to 95% ready. And ready for a full match. And to me, that's when you bring the guy in and you let him go. And we've seen he's looked like he's got that edge again where he wants to, create and he wants to have opportunities and that sort of thing. And I just, like I said, Darwin is iffy for me because when he's out there, yes, he does create a lot of problems, but I feel like earlier in the match, that actually is going to cause him more problems because there's going to be fresher legs out there. And so he's not going to have as much space as he would have if he comes in for, say, the second half or the final 15, 20, 30 minutes of the second half to kind of have more of that. Now, from the Seren perspective, people, and Colin asked, explain about Seren. They don't get it. The thing that, and this was kind of reminded to me this weekend, but there's a good reason to have Seren in the lineup, even if he doesn't start all the time, even if he's maybe struggling a little bit here and there. And it's the same reason that you have a designated player that you spend a lot of money on, like a Sebas Ferreira, that you continue to start, right? It's because of what they can bring for you off the pitch as much as on the pitch. And what I mean by that is Seren brings with him, because right now we have no other player on this squad in the lineup that has that same El Salvadoran draw that Darwin Seren is going to have. And right now, until Hector Herrera gets here, that is a hugely important piece to the puzzle for the front office of the Dynamo. And it's going to be difficult for Paulo to shrug him to the bench. Granted, with that said, there are possibilities that he could go to the bench and you could start every so often another player in his stead. But I would like to see him paired up with Coco and Vera and give an opportunity for Coco and Seren to interchange a little bit. The little bit that I saw of that, there were possibilities, but it was such a short period of time that it just wasn't enough to really make a valid observation as to whether that could work or not work at all.
I see a lot of hate for Seren, and I see a lot of people want to trade him away and things like that. And to the point that you bring, obviously, he brings him being Salvadorian, brings a little bit of attention to the club as far as fan bases that are not naturally Dynamo fans, but more fans of the national team, which is obviously something that we're trying to approach with the Herrera signing as well. But with that being said, we're focused on the pitch and what the pitch brings, right? And look, Seren has his moments, has his great moments, and he has his moments where you're sometimes like, what the hell are you thinking, dude? And look, man, Seren, in my opinion, was always meant to be, especially at this level of MLS that we're at now, and the level of MLS has increased a lot, over the last 5 years. I think Seren is a better suited as a bench player, but due to what we have currently, Seren, I think paired with Coco is a lot better than what Memo with Seren is, because first and foremost, Coco, I think, is more explosive, can distribute the ball, and can be a playmaker and create his own shot and create shots for everybody else, right? And then you have Seren there backing him up. If he loses the ball, he's able to defend and, or maybe even get the ball back or whatever. Whereas for Memo for him is a little bit harder to create and to distribute, to where I think Seren takes it upon himself to push the ball forward and to try to create, and that's not his natural position. He's not a creator. He's not a distributor of the ball and things like that. Even though he plays at 8, he's more of a 6 than he is a 10 or anything like that. So, I think for him to be paired up with a better playmaker would do a lot to benefit not just him individually, but the team as a whole. So I'm like you, Sean. Even though, I would love to see Quintero out there as well, and alongside with Coco, to just bring that firepower that we know both of them can bring, along with Fafa and Sebas. And then I don't want to say Baird, because Baird disappointed me as well. But even if it is him or Pasher, I think it would be a lot better. But then, like you mentioned, Quintero's not ready yet. Coco said he's 90%. If he's 90%, he's 100% to me. Let's go. You only have a couple of weeks to see what this guy's going to do before his loan ends, and whether or not you're going to make this permanent. And you have to make sure that you're going to make the right decision, because he has to. It's going to cost you money, and obviously you're trying to use that money for some other players, high level players, and you want to know if Coco's going to occupy one of those high level positions that you're trying to fill. So you need to have him playing as many minutes with as many different people as possible to see if he fits. Now, the glimpses that I've seen this season, and obviously the glimpses I've seen last season, and obviously the what I've seen from him on the Panamanian team, I want Coco on my team. I feel like he's one of those players that ups the level for the whole squad, and and all that good stuff. So I mean, it's great to see Coco doing the thing, but I want to see him starting. I know a lot of you guys want to see him starting. I know a lot of you guys want to see him out there dominating. We've all seen him play with Panama, how he's played against big teams like Mexico, the U.S. and all that stuff, and we see the amazing things that he does. We want to see him do it in orange. We want to see him do all that good stuff. Duwaco says, who gets the bench spot now that Derrick is gone? That's interesting. Obviously, with Derrick Jones being gone, a lot of speculations about, whether or not they're going to bring another player. As of right now, I know Pat was quoted saying that he wants to bring in at least another player or two before the transfer window closes. But as of right now, what's currently available, I mean, you have a number of players that haven't made the match day 18 there midfielders. You have Palomino. You have obviously Castilla. I mean, a lot of people are fans of him, even though he's a little bit younger. You have Danny Rios, who's another Salvadoran international player who's played for the national team already a handful of times. So you do have options in Dyna Dose that might be able to fill Jones's shoes, or Pat might have another move ready to go to bring in and fill that spot in for Jones, or maybe even be the starter and push Seren to that spot, and put whoever he brings in the starting lineup. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, but yeah, I feel the same way as you, Sean. I need Coco starting, and that obviously means he starts over Memo. I've always said, and on this show and anywhere that people would hear me, Twitter or anything, I feel that my Memo skills are better suited for him to come up against tired legs. I think Memo can dominate real well. Well, maybe not dominate. I don't know. He can play a lot better against tired legs those last 15, 20 minutes. I think he can come and do a really good job for us. It's during the Wilmer era when he was, scoring goals and, things like that, we forget that he had a lot of goals that were, tap-ins, but because you have people like Albert Elise assisting him the ball, Kyoto assisting him the ball, players of high talent, getting him the ball. And when you have players like that surrounding you, you get a lot of tapping goals easily. So, but yeah, Sean. So, I mean, I don't know. Will you be disappointed if Paulo brings in the same three midfielders again this Saturday?
I will not be disappointed if there is another, change somewhere else in the lineup. As long as he's attempting to make changes. And again, I get the situation with the midfielders, right? Yes, you have two midfielders on, and I get it, Mark. I know. But at the same time, you kind of said it when we kicked off the show. If you think about it, we've started the season defensively incredibly sound. You've given up one really fluky goal over 120 minutes. 180 minutes. Is that right? 90, 180. Yeah, math was not great there. So it's kind of a catch-22 thing of, right now, Mema, Vera, and Seren are giving you the best defensive lineup that you have. And I don't think there's anybody that would doubt that at the moment. But, if you go and you make a change and we know that one of the changes that he wants to make, because who was one of the very first subs that he brought on, or not one of the first, but he brought on fairly early, was still Seka. So he wants to bring Seka in and he wants to give Seka some minutes. So, I think that change could be Seka instead of necessarily tweaking the midfield right away.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think, regardless if you put, who was it, Griffin first, who started the first game, then Valentin who started the second game, and then I'm pretty sure Seka will start this match if Paulo feels that he's acclimated enough with the squad. I think Seka was always going to be the starter. Just the fact that that we signed him kind of late in the preseason window, whatever, things like that. He needed a little bit of a gain time and familiarity with his new counterparts before you can actually start him. But to be honest, I mean, look, I understand what you're saying, and look, the defense has been great. To only allow one goal in the first 180 minutes of the match of the season. I mean, that's great, obviously. But let's not forget, you spent a record number on a transfer fee for a player, number 9, who's only touched the ball twice in 2 matches. You brought him in to be your goal scorer. When you pay that amount for a transfer fee for a player like Sebastián Ferreira, you're expecting goals, but he can't score goals if he doesn't have the ball on his feet, and you can't let him go deep into the midfield to go get the ball and expect him to go push up by himself. Like that's not what number 9s do, and by the time he gets up there, if he is doing that, I'm pretty sure he's going to get stripped. So it's kind of counterproductive in a way because, obviously if we're looking at it glass half full, the defense is great. We've had a crappy defense the last half decade or whatever, and to see the defense be solidified, stable, and that's even without Teenage or Seka and that back six yet, it's great to see. But then on the other side, when we're looking at the glass half empty, your biggest transfer fee signing, Sebastián Ferreira, hasn't done anything. Your biggest acquisition last season, and Corey Baird, hasn't done anything. I don't even think he played in the SKC, to be honest. He was invisible the second game. Fafa, obviously Fafa, we know he has the speed and he runs back and forth, but he hasn't been really able to do anything as well either. So, it's an unfortunate thing for those 3 guys where, they're paid to go score goals and to assist, but they can't do it because there's no distribution from the midfield.
Yeah, I like that because I think there's I like your take on that. Sorry, let me clarify. Because you pointed out those 3 guys in particular, Fafa, Baird, and Sebas, are being paid to score goals, and I think there's something to that. But I also think it's unfair to place all of the offensive burden on those 3 guys when there needs to be a 4th player that comes in and can create and distribute. Right now, the biggest real issue is we have no distributor of the ball in the first 70 some odd minutes of the match. And you see it as soon as Darwin Quintero and Coco Carrasquilla come on, the entire dynamic and flow of the game and flow of the attack and flow of possession, it all transforms and it all changes. And I do want to see more, I do want to see the same amount of possession and the same amount of, controlled possession, but there comes a point that controlled possession needs to transition into attacking possession. You have to be able to transition, I'm holding the ball and you can't get it, into I'm going to at least create a chance out of this. We've not been able to even do that part of the equation. And I've been told by multiple people, and this is, you know, publicly and otherwise, that a lot of that has to do with Paulo's desired approach of fixing the defense first, making sure the defense is sound, and making sure that is, you know, is watertight as it is. And so that you can focus on the attack and you could start tweaking little things to find those edges in the attack that you need to find. And that's all I'm asking for out of Paulo is I just want to start seeing those tweaks. Look, we are clearly defensively sound right now, and there's not a lot of holes or cracks in the defense. And that being the case, I don't think we need to spend another 3 months trying to make the defense more solid than it is. It's clearly at a point that's, you know, I could be content with it. And I think any fan could be content with the level of defense we're playing right now and how we play defense for a full 90. What I need to see, though, is that transition into the attack start to actually happen. I need to see that transition into the attack actually be something that transpires on, you know, on the pitch.
Yeah, you know, and it's crazy to think. I mean, look, the Dynamo, regardless of what you want to think before, prior to obviously the Ted Siegel era, I mean, they've already invested heavily into that defense. You know, with what they paid for Parker from the New York Red Bulls, what they invested in to get Teenage in here. Obviously, the second move, you know, is a huge move, and so on and so on, right? Now that you see, you know, obviously it's a short sample, 2 games, you know, things like that. People are still getting their legs underneath them and still trying to get into full fitness shape. But I mean, but still, I mean, you know, let's take the positives where we can. And this defense has shown that it can do the job, you know. But with that being said, do I need 2 6s at every game? You know, I mean, I don't need Vera and Saran playing 6. You know, if I invested that much on my back 4, you know, it should be 1 6 and then have your 8 and your 10 or 2 8s or, you know, however you decide to do the other 2 midfielders or whatever. You know, but so, you know, because like look at it from the perspective of when Quintero comes in. Quintero single-handedly has almost gotten the Dynamo at least 4 points. You know, he could have won the game at home, the opener, with that fantastic kick that a shot at on goal that he had that hit the crossbar, and then he could have maybe, well, I don't know if he would have won the game, but you know, at least a tie. You know, with SKC. You know, when the ball was taken away from the SKC player deep in the Dynamo side of the field, you know, and he almost chipped it in or whatever. So, I mean, you know, so you see what a player like Quintero can do when he's given the opportunity. Now, do you only want to give that type of player only 20 minutes to execute whatever you want him to execute? Or would you rather have him play 60, 70 minutes and then if he's tired, take him off, you know, and then let a player like Memo, who's of lesser quality, come in and against tired legs, and maybe he can do a job for us, you know, with against that tired squad. Because, you know, like I said, even though the defense has been great, I'm not sure how much of my offense I'm willing to sacrifice, especially when I'm not scoring any goals. I mean, look, fortunately for us, I mean, look, the team that's coming up next in Vancouver hasn't scored any goals either. But, you know, I don't know. I mean, if I'm at PNC Saturday night, especially with this freeze coming through, and you know, there's no hotness of goals scoring in that back of the net. I mean, I'm gonna be a little upset, you know. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, this goalless drought ends this Saturday.
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of it, and I mentioned it in the comment there in the chat, you know, it's as much in talking about Coco's lack of connecting with the other players, you know, it's as much on those other players as it is on him. And the reason I say that is, how many times have we seen players not even react to the pass and not move into a position to receive a pass, and instead they're just out there kind of walking around, almost just going through the motions, instead of trying to find space or trying to make something happen, especially late in matches where you've already got tired defenders. You might as well force the issue with them instead of just sitting back and hoping that, okay, I'll get the ball and then I'll have an opportunity to try to make something happen. You need to create something while you're off the ball as much as you need to create when you're on the ball. And I think there's just too much waiting around when someone else has the ball instead of trying to get a little bit more forward or trying to put a pressure on a defender or, trying to get behind the line, as it were, and create a mismatch somewhere, whatever it is. I just don't think there's enough of that takes place. And it ends up with a lot of what we see, which is that passes just kind of go into the open area and nobody's there to actually run onto them because they're too busy walking their way up, hoping that somebody else will do it for them.
John, let me ask you a question, and I'm going to throw this question out to you guys in the chat as well. So feel free to answer as well, and we'll go through the answers as they come through. Corey Baird, do you think is it an issue because of the lack of distribution and balls being shot up there, or is it time for Tyler Patcher to come back and show us Patcher time like he did last season?
I mean, I don't really feel like, outside of the one shot that Pasher had last weekend, I don't really feel like he's shown anything more than Corey Baird has necessarily shown. But yeah, and I agree with George, right? Baird's not a creator. It should not fall on Baird to be a creator.
No. Yeah. Look. And this is why I asked. I'll tell you why I'm asking this. Because, the whole SKC game, he was a ghost. Let's be honest, right? But, but you still hear Fafa's name. You still hear Fafa going around, and the same thing with last season. When I supposedly had all this hate on Fafa, and Pasha was doing the business, beginning early last season. It's one of those things where I miss the days where both my wingers are operating at the same time. So we need to get that. We need to find that fix. We need to get that fix somehow, where both my wingers are operating at a high level at the same time, and it's not just one, doing the whole job on one side and getting all the defenders on one side and the other ones ghost for the whole game. Like I said, obviously I know the fact that our midfield at the moment is not the most creative and can't distribute the ball to save their lives. But let's say Coco and let's say Quintero come in, whatever, and they start, and it's still the same thing, and Bear still comes out as a ghost. Do you think it's time for Pasher after that, or are you still willing to give Bear a little bit of benefit of doubt and to help him find himself? Because I think he had a couple of caps with the United States national team, right? He's an ex-U.S. men's national team player. If I remember correctly, you guys can correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. But yeah, what do you think?
So here's my thing with Pasher. I don't want to get into a situation where we begin to rely, like we did with Elise when Elise was here, on him being the creator. I don't want that to happen because Pasher is not reliable from an injury-prone perspective. He's not reliable for a full season. And if you start to trust and rely that Pasher is going to be that guy, what happens when Pasher's gone? Everybody's used to that, so it's just going to be the next guy that goes into that position. But that next guy is Corey Baird, and we've already seen he's not that guy either. So I am very reticent to say, oh yeah, let's just put Pasher in there, because I do think that there will become a significant reliance, just like we had last season. Even when Pasher was out, our reliance on Fafa was tremendous. The amount of pressure on Fafa throughout the entire season was ginormous, and we put a lot on his plate to try to handle because nobody else could create. We have to find a creator, period. End of story. And it cannot be a winger. It needs to be somebody in central midfield.
It needs to be a full-blown 10, obviously. But I think that's kind of counterproductive to say, we won't bring a player on the pitch because we want to be too reliant on him. Because if he's doing the job, he's doing the job, and hopefully he can do the job without getting injured, right? That's what you want. Fafa came through and threw his shorts.
Look, Mark has come around on Fafa. Can I say, Mark has come to see the light of what makes Fafa great.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't know if great would be the adjective I would use on him, but like I said, he does the job, and I understand, that a lot of people's quality went down because, of the whole coaching staff last season and prior to that, whatever. So. But it's one of those things where, like, I want both sides of my wingers working cohesively and feeding the ball to my number 9 or crashing the box, finding ways to score, or providing crosses, and it's just not happening right now. It isn't. And I know the midfield is part to blame and things like that, but I mean, it's sometimes where as wingers, you come down to the midfield, you get the ball yourself, and you move up and press and try to cross. But I just haven't seen that from Corey Baird at this moment.
Yeah, and I like I said, I mean, I agree with that. I do think that Pasher absolutely is a better start over Corey Baird. I also want to be careful that we don't put too much onus on Pasher right away when he gets back to starting, because again, we I think have a tendency, from all the struggles we've had offensively, somebody's going to have to carry the brunt of that weight when they start figuring it out. There's going to be expectations along with that, like, okay,
but
we figured it out. Now the floodgates need to open. We need to start scoring for real now.
No, for sure. I understand that. I understand what you're saying. But this is one of the things about, like, one of the things that I think a lot of people came to be with Pasher and got enamored with Pasher was the fact that, it was this little USL player that came out of nowhere and gave his whole heart and everything. And you could see when he played on the pitch, he gave his all. And as a fan, as a supporter of a club, that's all you ever want from a player, right? Talent aside, you just want the player to give their all and fight for the crest on their kit. And that's what Pasher did. And he scored goals. He assisted. He even got a call up to the Canadian national team, which now it's a feat in itself, right? The Canadian national team isn't what it used to be. Now the Canadian national team is a powerhouse in CONCACAF. So for him to actually get called up and play a couple of minutes for the Canadian national team from where he was not too long ago, 18 months ago, playing USL and Indy 11, I think it was. It's a great feat for him individually. Unfortunately for him, with injuries and things like that getting in the way, hopefully the training staff is able to get him stronger, more healthier, and he's going to be able to play it better and more and without injury, But we'll see. Like I said, I think it starts with that midfield. We need distribution. They need distribution. They need help. The ball needs to move up into the box, and it just hasn't.
I don't have anything to add. You said it all.
Oh, okay. So, obviously, then, we had a move today for the Dynamo guys. Derrick Jones, as someone mentioned prior to the chat, moved on for him and $50,000 in GAM in 2023 for $250,000 in GAM in 2022 from Charlotte FC. John, your thought on this move? Obviously, there has to be a pending move coming after this if we're picking up money for this season. So, any thoughts on this, Sean?
Yeah, so there actually were technically two moves announced today, because you had that move and then you had Nico Lemoyne that was loaned to Oakland Roots of USL as well. So, two players leaving, frees up two roster spots technically. Derrick Jones in exchange for the 2023, $50K worth of GAM, and Derrick Jones, we get back $250K worth of GAM for this season. Look, you don't trade for GAM for this season unless you plan to use that general allocation of money for this season. As far as my thoughts on the trade itself, look, I think that was proper value for the player. But at the same time, had become a big, Derrick Jones fans just in general. I've seen enough of him to know that he does have the potential and the capability to be a guy that can bring the ball forward from the back. He can do a lot of things distribution wise. He's a pretty good dribbler at times, but I think he also suffers from that inconsistency piece where sometimes he could be very hot and sometimes he could be very, very cold, where you really don't even want to see him on the pitch anymore because he's that bad at that time. But, if there's anything I can really say about him, I found out this week that he's a Spurs fan, and really I can never lovingly depart with a player who's a Spurs fan. So, I'm a little hurt by it, not gonna lie.
But, it's funny because, through all this turmoil that the club has had, with different coaches, different types of style of play, disappointment after disappointment, and seasons and things like that. We've kind of lost a lot of good players, man. They're actually doing really well in other teams now that they left the Houston Dynamo. As of late, and it's kind of sad to see what could have been. Obviously everybody knows the one game where Derrick Jones started and he had like an amazing run. He just like kind of bone rushed everybody and it just ran across the field like a gazelle and then assisted on a goal. I forgot who scored the goal at the other end, but it was just an amazing game for him. I mean, I saw that and I was like, dude, because Derrick Jones' physique, the body type that he has as a player, he would be a destroyer he would be the destroyer of destroyers in MLS, you know? And it's just a shame that, it didn't work out for him here, especially under Tab. And then obviously Paulo and the new regime didn't see enough in him to want to keep him around. But, hopefully it goes well for DJ. But I mean, it would suck to see him do really well, become a destroyer in MLS, and then we could have had that. But, obviously we're worried about the now and what's going on today. Houston Dynamo memes, he brings up Christian Ramirez and Tomas, winning trophies. And then, and Koyo won the league, in India. And, obviously Wilmer Cabrera has done a job at RGV as well, getting those guys back in the playoffs. And, Romel Kyoto doing a thing with Montreal and with Kiki Struna, of all people, as well. So, it's sad. Hey, the legend Tommy Mack out there with New England Revolution starting for those guys, so it's a shame, man. It's a shame. But, hopefully Pat and the guys are going to get the shit turned around sooner rather than later. And, we'll be able to keep a lot of those players that, have talent and, can grow with the Dynamo and can take us to the now and the future as well. But yeah, Nico Lemoyne, one of those players that came out of nowhere last year under Tab, and they played a couple of games. He looked okay, but just out of nowhere, just kind of fell off. Still a young kid. I think he was 21, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, obviously they're going to do the Palomino approach and send him to USL for a full season so he can get game time and hopefully consistent starter minutes, and he can maybe show the club that he's above USL level, because Palomino obviously showed that. That's why, he's back with the team. But we'll see what happens with Nico Lemoyne. I know he'll have a former teammate over there with Alejandro Femayor, who's over there as well. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, man. Anything else you want to add to these transactions that we had today with the Dynamo?
I'm sitting here shaking my head, but the answer is no. I mean, or yes. I think, and a couple of people have said various things, but I think that, it is clear that the moves today, if you will, they're setting up for an additional move somewhere. And I think that move is sooner rather than later. Pat said, very, recently after the SKC match, that they're looking for another 1 to 2 players, to bring in another 1 to 2 players to bolster the squad. I don't know, allocation money is not something that's tracked in such a way that we can see how much allocation money is available. To Zach J's point, he mentioned earlier, 680K of our GAM went to covering bringing in Corey Baird. Last season.
And then the Parker as well to New York Red Bulls. We spent a lot of that stuff on that as well.
Yep. We did get some, because not a lot, but we did get some for transferring out Ramirez to over to the Scottish Premier League.
Aberdeen, yeah. So my question to you, I mean, like, obviously, GAM is a mechanism that's used within the league. It's not nothing that is technically used for outside players.
Yeah, you can't use it to transfer a player in.
So my question is, we're looking at the season right now. Obviously, we've seen the club these first 2 weeks and these first 2 games. Do you think Pat could be prepared to bring somebody who within the league that's ready to go, to maybe bring a spark into the Dynamo? I mean, obviously before this trade was announced, on the Surge Discord that both you and me are on, we had a little back and forth. A lot of people wondering what this trade could be, what kind of players could be brought in and things like that, and just, what player isn't doing well at their club and wants to go to another club and within the league and things like that. So, I mean, obviously it's something that could be used. I mean, and then on the other hand as well, we're number 2 on the allocation order. What's going on with that, So, I mean, it's a lot of things going on that there's a lot of things going on around the Dynamo, but nothing has yet fizzled out as far as like, what players we're focusing on from within the league, I guess, if anything, if anyone.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of players within the league, I think, that can fit, the real desire, which is a creative player, in that general area of a 10. You remember, Mark, it was just last week on the show when we were talking to Hector Herrera that I brought up that, remember, when it comes to Pat Onstad and his tenure in Columbus, there was one thing that they did that helped elevate that team beyond signing just Zelarayan, and that was also bringing in another playmaker in Darlington Nagbe from within the league. Yes, it was a massive move. It cost a lot of allocation money at the time to make it happen, but look at how that worked out for Columbus. That was absolutely the right move. I think if you were to ask Pat today, he wants to find that same type of move within MLS, because a domestic player in that position, even if it's just a 6 or an 8, somebody that can distribute the ball forward wherever that is in that run of the midfield, that particular player exists within MLS, and there are opportunities to try to grab that type of player. Now,
but
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think I think that situation was a little bit, where everything kind of aligned, because you have a club where Nagbe was at with Atlanta United that's obviously always looking to bring players in from outside the league and bring in high ceiling prospects from South America or wherever, right? And then you obviously had Columbus Crew, who were trying to rebuild from what they were and trying to solidify that midfield. And they saw an opportunity with bringing in Darlington Nagbe, who's a fringe United States national team player and of sorts, but obviously a dominant DM. So, with that being said, I mean, if we're looking at players, I mean, like who realistically could the Dynamo bring in that another team would be willing to let go, that's high level, because obviously, I mean, the positions we're looking for is 10 and winger. I mean, a number 10 and a winger. That's it. Everything else can stay as is until the summer when you reevaluate everything the first half of the season and see what if so and so lived up to whatever, or if they didn't, right? But right now at this moment, what we need is a 10 and a winger. So who out there? I mean, to be honest, with because 10s in this league is hard to come by, because once you got one of those, you're basically one of the top teams in the league, a championship caliber team. You look at your, Celerian, like you said, your Charles Gills, your Pozuelo, players of that nature. It's hard to get your hands on those 10s, Nicholas Lodero, So, who really?
George, I hope you're listening. Giovinco is available right now, actually for really cheap. And
he signed with Sampdoria.
Oh, did he? Damn it, Giovinco. He would have been perfect. Yeah. Absolutely perfect for what we need right now. I mean, absolutely. God, he would have been absolutely perfect. George would have lost his shit.
Oh yeah, for sure. But the unfortunate thing about that is that the Dynamo and the reason why I don't think it happened is because the Dynamo would have to use their allocation order on Giovinco because he is a former DP.
And who else are they going to use the allocation order for? There are no good players to use the allocation order on right now.
I mean,
have you seen that allocation list? It's not like you just use it on players you bring in from overseas.
I got you. No, I understand.
Go look at that list unless you're like dying for somebody that's like a Omar Gonzalez. I mean, now I will say this. There are teams that would probably take a certain player at center back, and there's a certain center back that his contract expires this summer. That is a U.S. men's national team player that's probably looking to come back to the U.S. and would look really great paired up with a Tim Parker. I'm just saying, you could always find a way if you're smart enough as a GM to make a move, to ultimately make a move. Now, here's the thing.
Yeah, but you got teenage, man. You trying to kick out teenage?
I'm not trying to kick out teenage. I am just saying that there are opportunities that may arise where you have to make a tough decision. We can't be so married to some of these players that we aren't willing to move them on if the chance arises to improve at that position or
I understand
position elsewhere.
I understand what you're saying, but pointing to like what Colin said in the chat, bringing up Miguel Almiron.
I was gonna get there, but I was busy
he
on John Anthony Brooks.
This is the reason why you don't waste that allocation spot on just a plain old player like a Javinko or whatever, because even though Javinko might give you a good year because he knows he's playing MLS, so there's no adaptation, and he has a lot of skill. We all know that, but he is a 36-year-old player,
Sure.
And to have maybe an opportunity to sign a player like Miggy, obviously he would cost you would have to pay some money to Atlanta United because I'm pretty sure they hold the rights, or I don't know how that works because he is on the allocation order. So I don't think that affects that, but who knows?
It does not. You're correct.
Whatever. But to have an opportunity for that to happen, or because you didn't think that would happen, but obviously Newcastle is a whole new thing over there, and they're not trying to keep these fringe players, and they don't care that, and this new regime doesn't care that they spend 25 mil on Miguel Almiron. They might let him go for pennies on the dollar, and we know what Miggy can do in MLS. And he's he's Paraguayan. Our number 9 is Paraguayan. He's a number 10, and what I say, if you have a dominant 10 in this league, you're a top level team, or you're a championship caliber team. So that's the key point. And what did I say the last show of last season? The off season cannot go without finding a number 10 and number 9. We found our number 9. Now we need our number 10. It's difficult. It's difficult. Don't get me wrong. I know that that position is hard to fill because it costs money to fill that position, because it's basically the heartbeat of the position, where you're, this player, you're putting a whole lot of pressure on this player to be able to provide passes, assists, distribution, score goals, take away defenders from other players. So it's going to get expensive, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Dynamo Insider, who, again, everyone can trust when he says something because it's coming from a place of very good sources. He said the Dynamo are not looking at Almiron right now. No, nor do I think they should be.
We just threw him out there.
No, I know. But here's the thing that I've seen it talked about a little bit, but not a lot. Look, Atlanta are going to have to make a move to make room for Almiron. They're going to have to part with a player, and they're going to have to part with a DP to make it happen, or they're going to have to buy a DP down. It's not, I would love Christian Eriksen. I'm not going to lie. Holy crap. That is a great idea. But I don't think he could keep pace in MLS at this point. He just, I'd know. And in this heat, oh God, no, let's not put that kind of pressure in exertion of force upon the poor guy. But in all seriousness, no, yeah, Real Betis are interested in Miguel Almiron. There's a few other teams in Europe, which is why I say the chances are pretty slim because he's got European opportunities. But if Atlanta are able to secure that option to bring him back, first of all, basically the prodigal son at that point returning to an organization that needs something else to get over the hump in a way. But the thing is again, they need to make room for that to happen. So. And again, you have to, as a business person in soccer business terms, you have to be willing to think, play chess, as it were, and you have to think multiple moves ahead. You have to be the Daryl Morey of MLS, and you have to be able to position yourself to eventually get the James Harden that the other team, doesn't even know that they should be keeping. You have to be able to position to do that, or position to get the Eric Gordon, in trades. You have to get the assets. And the thing is we have no assets right now. All we have are players that everybody wants to keep around. But at some point, I got to be willing to trade those players because I need to get other assets to be able to start making real moves within MLS where some of the better players that are currently available reside.
I love the comparison that Everdev said, that it's like finding a quarterback or a, not necessarily a point guard now in this new age league of NBA, but like a top 10 player in the league. Because if you don't have a top 10 player of the league, then you're not going nowhere. But yeah, man, I love that comparison because just a quarterback. Think about it. When the Texans had Deshaun, regardless of what was around Deshaun, as a Texan, not me per se, but as a Texan fan, wherever you guys are out there, if there's still any of you out there, y'all felt that there was a chance for y'all to accomplish something, have a winning season, win games, because you had that player who could dominate the game, who can create and make things happen. And now that you don't have them, now you're just scrambling, trying to find somebody who can at least not fumble the ball, and not throw so many interceptions. It's one of those things where, like, when we had Vicente Sanchez, who's a great number 10, but unfortunately for him, he was 37, 38 years old when he came to the Dynamo, but he still had a little bit of gas left in him. We saw what kind of pressure he brought and how he made life easy for a young Albert Elise, a young Romel Criollo, a young Mauro Manotas. He brought that leadership and that desire, and he was a player who was used to the pressure playing in big games in Mexico and South America and Europe, so he understood the situation. And like I said, to find a player like that that's somewhat in their prime, it's going to cost some money. And like I said,
it's going to cost anywhere from 8 to 15 to 20 million to find a player like that.
And look, Ted has shown that he's willing to spend the cash. Obviously with the Ferreira and the Herrera bring-ins, that it's great. But like, man, it's gonna be tough. But but now, obviously, with what Ted has shown me, what Pat has shown me, I'm optimistic about it happening. Now, do I think it's going to happen this transfer window? Maybe not. Look, because the window's closing is closing, and it's hard to find a player like that. Especially a lot of players are still playing overseas and things like that, so you won't have them in the summer. But when the summer transfer open window's up, I think that's their number one priority, as far as trying to find a player to come over that can play that 10th spot.
Again, I still think everybody's going to be like, who are you talking about? I don't know names. I can't say it, but I still think that they're looking within MLS and they've got a player that they're targeting. You don't make a move for $250K GAM trading away Derrick Jones unless you know that you have lined something else up. You just don't make that kind of move. Now, they're going to say they probably don't have anything lined up. Oh, this is just a move because it creates flexibility for us. Bullshit, whatever. I don't care. It's not about the flexibility in this case. This move was specifically targeted to enable them to make the subsequent move that's going to come. And I'm telling you right now, whatever that subsequent move is, it's going to include a player from MLS, because we're not bringing in a player from outside of MLS before the summer transfer window, to your point. And so that being the case, we know we need a 10 right now, or at least a distributor of the ball high up the pitch. I don't care if it's a winger. I don't care if it's a number 10. I don't care where they play, but we got to have that distributor, player that can truly distribute the ball. And I'm telling you, they've got a guy that they've pegged. They've got a guy that they want, and they're going to go all in on that guy with what assets they have to do it. And there may be trading of more players to come to make it happen. Don't get too attached to certain players is all I'm saying.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously we can continue with that talk and the possibilities and all that stuff, but I mean, we'll wait till actually something happens and rumors start coming out about what happens with that money and who we're targeting or whatever. But Sean, obviously, I know on the topics we were going to talk a little bit about the possibility of Diego Lainez coming on through, but I think we have enough time to talk about that, in future shows, because obviously if he didn't come or not. But let's preview the matches coming up this Saturday, man. I think it's one of those things where we need to get back to our predictions and things like that and get everybody involved and see what.
Yeah, I agree. Let's pump the brakes real quick. We got a potential guest coming in that can join us for the previews and predictions.
Okay, let's bring him in. It's always good to hear other people's thoughts and opinions about what's going to happen in these matches.
Hopefully he's still here, because he's probably been waiting like 10 to 15 minutes, to be honest. I haven't been paying attention, and then I saw it was up there. It said admit. I'm like, oh, crap, it's my fault. What's up?
Yo, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you coming through loud and clear.
All right. We looking good?
I'll have to tweak some things, but you're good.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, I can't really see you from my end, but yeah.
You good. I see you on there.
Got you.
Oh, there we go.
What's up, y'all?
And go ahead and introduce yourself, man, for the people who don't know.
I'm George, one of the co-founders of Dynamo Fan TV. I can't really look at the chat. I probably have to pull up the Twitch stream. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested to always hear what the Dynamo community has to say. I've been watching the Dynamo since a youngin'. So, I mean, I've seen them go up and down, and I don't know where we're at right now. I don't know if we're on the rise or not.
But at least at least we're heading somewhere. So that's the good thing about it. As to where before, we're kind of stuck in kind of purgatory. Or not even purgatory, maybe stuck in hell. For a lot of those seasons. But yeah, with that being said, man, obviously, before you came on, we wanted to talk about and preview the match against Vancouver this upcoming Saturday. And since you're here, since you're our special guest, man, let's hear it, man. What do you think the Dynamo are going to do against Vancouver? A scoreline and then a bold prediction, if you have one.
So, I mean, I missed out on the SKC game. I've seen everything. I was at work. Should we have lost? Realistically, it sounds like we shouldn't have. I haven't checked out the stats. I was there at the first game. I do agree our defense is solid. I saw the question of the day. I don't believe that Memo should be with the team. He shouldn't be starting either. Some don't want to hear that. Some got love for the kid. I'm not gonna lie, I do have love for him, but I just don't think he's fit for the club. I don't know. Vancouver, it's at home. I think they have to win 2-0. They have to win 2-0.
Do you think they're going to win 2-0? Any thoughts on who might score those goals?
Man, with the midfield, if our midfield is good, I want Quintero, I want Coco, and I want Vera. Realistically, will we see Quintero start this early in the season with what he had last season? Probably not. Probably closer towards like the middle of the season. For sure, he'll be starting or maybe even putting 60 minutes. Man, we have to find Sebas the ball. Truly, we do. Like y'all said, we need a 10. I think we have that with Quintero temporarily. But I think Sebas and Fafa, because I know Fafa's been pretty hungry for a goal.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Sean, any thoughts on that too? We'll come back to you about the bold prediction, man. We want to.
Yeah. Let me think about it.
Yeah. Sean, any thoughts on the game for the Saturday against Vancouver? Scoreline,
I'm going to give two predictions. And both of these are realistic predictions. Number one, if Coco starts, we win 2-1. If Coco does not start and he comes in as a halftime sub, we draw 1-1.
Yeah. Who scores the goals?
One goal from Sebas, one goal from Fafa. And then if Coco starts. If Coco doesn't start, then and he comes in the second half, then it's a goal for Quintero.
Nice. Man, I'm gonna be a little bit optimistic out here, man. I'm gonna give the guys a break, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they're gonna have a goal fest this Saturday, even though it's gonna be freezing, it's gonna be cold. Hey guys, make sure to get your hot cocoa, get your blankets out there, because it's gonna be a cold one. But embrace it, because then we're all gonna be hot and sweaty in July and August. But I'm gonna go with a 3-1 scoreline. I'm gonna go with Sebastian Ferreira getting his first goal as a Dynamo, getting that monkey off his back. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna say Coco's gonna score a goal, and then I'm gonna say Seca goes out there and scores a banger from the right back position. Just to go out there and show why they brought him out. That's not my bold. That's not my bold prediction, but I'm gonna go with a 3-1 scoreline for the Dynamo winning. Vancouver obviously is one of the poorer teams in the league as of late. So I feel if we're gonna do any damage as far as offensively, this would be the perfect team to do it against. But yeah, with that being said, obviously they come into this game scoring no goals like the way we have. So hopefully we can score more goals than they do in this game, so that way we can win a game. But yeah, coming back to you, do you want me to call you by your name or Dynamo Fan TV? Or
nah, George is fine, man.
George is fine. Okay, all right, George. All right. So bold prediction. Now, when we say bold predictions, I'll give you an example. And unfortunately, this example happened one too many times. Last season was, saying, a player has an own goal, to win the game or something like that, which, no one's talking about own goals, things like that. But or saying, a keeper has an assist or something wild.
Man, I'm gonna say and it's not gonna be good. But I'll say maybe a Lucas red card.
Hey, at home?
At home. I mean, it seems like he just if you like closely look at him and when he doesn't get his overlap running and everything, he just looks very frustrated. I just feel like he won't be able to hold this match. Maybe we'll see.
You know, that's the player I was least worried about because if it's cold, I think he likes to play in the cold. You know, those Swedish guys, it gets cold over there. So he was the player I was least worried about. But damn, red card. Sean, how about your bold pick of the week? Sean. I don't know. I don't think Sean can hear us. Sean, can you hear me? If you can, put thumbs up. No, Sean can't. Oh, okay. I guess he's fixing something over there on technical stuff right now. But let me give you my bold prediction, and we'll come back to Sean here in a bit. I'm gonna say, let's see. You know what? I'm gonna say Vera comes in and not Vera. Seren comes in because everybody hates Seren and scores a brace.
No,
so that way my guy Seren can get some love on the Dynamo Twitter.
Dude, it'll just be one game, and then next game he'll definitely get a red card.
Hey, we need the win right now. So if he gets it this time, then hey, it's all for the good. You can you can be a hero one week and be the villain the next.
Exactly. I guess in the meantime, who do you predict to start this Saturday?
Before we get to that, Sean, are you good or? I guess for some reason, I mean, I can
George,
see George.
Can you see me thumbs upping?
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, everything's perfect.
It's Mark. It's not me. I just want to make sure it wasn't me.
No, I see you thumbs upping.
Yeah, I'm good. There was an echo problem. I was trying to clear it up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see you thumbs up and everything, but just you weren't saying anything. So
I had to try a setting, so I guess I fixed it. All right. Anyways, bold predictions, right? Because we're still on that, correct? We haven't. Okay. So bold prediction. I'm gonna go with. Man, I thought I had a good one. You know what? I'm gonna go with that. Paulo gets a red card and gets sent off shortly before halftime due to being demonstrative with the referee.
Or due to Vancouver whooping that ass or something?
No, it ain't that. No, just bad officiating. Calls that are just clearly wrong. That they're not overturning and not VARing, and when they do go to VAR, it's in the favor of Vancouver. Look, and I mean, I'm going to say why. I mean, God, how many fouls last week against that were committed on Fafa that were clear fouls near the SKC box. Just not even like, and it wasn't just one foul. It was like back-to-back fouls. My dude was destroyed and nothing. The ref was like, nah, play on. No big deal. I mean, come on. It was, that officiating was so bad. If I'm Paulo, I got to start standing up for sticking up for my guys. And I got to be vocal about it. I can't afford to be the quiet guy on the sideline that my players don't trust or is going to stand up for me. I got to be vocal.
No, for sure. Let me go over the score lines of some of the guys from the chat real quick before we move on. I know George had a question about the starting lineup, but Georgie, the other George, or the first George, I don't know which George he is. He says 1-0 goal from Parker. Everleft said 2-0 for the men in orange. Dynamo Means said 2-1. And Julio's bold prediction is that Quintero plays 60 minutes plus. So, George, you had a question about the starting lineup. You asked me who I think is going to start as far as like midfield or like overall.
Just overall.
I mean, the back line. Look, the back line. I think the back line is good. It's solidified stays. The only difference I think is if Seca has had enough time to build chemistry with the guys. I think he starts over Valentin. That would be the only difference. Otherwise, I wouldn't be surprised if Valentin starts another game. just to get Seca more in tune with other players. The midfield is where I'm having, obviously the issue. Like I said, the poll question of the week, I had to go with Vera, Seren, and Coco to start off the game with, because I don't think Quintero's ready to start the game yet. And if he is, then great. I would take that in a heartbeat. And then for my starting three up front, I guess you got to go Fafa, obviously, and Sebastian and Baird. I mean, Baird was a ghost the last game, but like I said, and I think we've mentioned earlier in the show that a lot of it's not his fault. Obviously, there's no distribution from the midfield. There's no links up there, so it's I don't know. I think you got to give the guy a chance, but if Coco starts and there's link up in the play and he's still not showing up, then maybe we talk next week about maybe getting Pasher into the starting lineup.
No, yeah. I don't know why Pasher's not starting. Maybe I've missed out on just that information, but is it from his injury or just coach's decision?
I think, like I said, I mean, like Sean said earlier in the show, I mean, I think it's just one of those things where we're trying to get him back to full health. I don't know if he still has an injury that he's still, kind of harnessing or whatever. I know that's the reason why Coco hasn't been starting. But I'm not sure about Passion. But like I said, there's a lot of invested in Corey Baird. So I mean, that's why they want him to succeed. That's why they give him in the starting spot, because they invested so much money to bring him over from I thought, what was it, LAFC? Yeah. So that's probably one of the reasons why as well. So
we gotta have Daniel Memes message him for us. Number one fan.
Yeah, for sure. Sean, any thoughts on the starting lineup for you aside from the midfield that we talked about earlier?
Like I said, I feel like it's probably time to give Seca the start at right back and start out with Seca out there. Other than that, attack wise, I think I made pretty clear what I want changed in midfield. Coco starting over Memo. And then other than that, I think wingers, I'm fine with Baird continuing to start. I'm not ready yet for Pasher to be the guy. But Pasher as a halftime sub, he's going to have fresh legs long enough to go full half. So give Pasher as a halftime sub, and then he can go against some tired legs, or at least bring a different look. And that can create some opportunities as well. So those are kind of the 3 or 4 changes in particular that I would target, I think, going into this match.
Cool. George, let me ask you this question, man. I know we didn't have you last week. We had Colin and Finn last week, and this week obviously we have you, and we didn't get to ask. I just want to know your opinion on this. Obviously Hector Herrera coming in to the Dynamo and things like that. What do you think he does for the Dynamo as far as a player on the pitch? We obviously know what he can do, what he's gonna do as far as marketing and promotionals for the club outside the pitch. But as a player, what do you think he brings to the table?
Just with his technicality and his experience, his resume is pretty good compared to the rest of the Dynamo players. I believe he'll fit in good we have him until 2025. He'll get his feet wet. He's, as of right now, they said that he'll play against Dallas July 6th, if I'm not wrong.
Nice.
That's when he'll debut. That's what I've seen.
Okay.
But I think, practicing with the squad, he's definitely going to be one of those players that's going to distribute the ball well. I think if he links up perfect with Quintero, maybe revive some of Quintero's just playmaking. Well, I'm not going to say that it's bad, but if he can help him out a bit more, both players are about the same age level. And help out Vera, I think he can bring a lot to the team, especially to Sebastian Ferreira.
Got you. Obviously, when you're bringing a player of that caliber, you expect them to kind of uplift the level of the whole squad, and especially in a midfield position where we need a lot of help, and as far as from transitioning from defense to offense. So, but yeah, man, George, we appreciate you joining us, man, and giving us time to come on to Generation Orange. You want to give a little bit of shout out to your Dynamo Fan TV and where the people can reach you at for those who don't know.
Alrighty. Well, thank y'all. Yeah, Dino Fan TV. You can find me on you can find me on Twitter with that handle, Dino Fan TV, on YouTube as well. Um, I haven't uploaded the videos for the SKC game and RSL, but I'm gonna get to that tonight. But yeah, appreciate the help, y'all, and thanks for having me.
Oh, for sure, for sure. You gonna be at the game on Saturday?
Unfortunately, no, my mom's gonna come in to town.
Oh, okay, that's cool. You watch it. You watch it with moms at the house then.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, with that being said,
my bad. I'll be there. What, the 19th?
Okay.
I'll be there.
Awesome.
Season ticket holder, so I'm always there.
Awesome. Looking forward to seeing you out there, man. With that being said, guys, we're coming up at 9:00. Unless Sean, you got anything else you want to say before we go? We appreciate the love and support, guys. Like I said, shout out to you guys again. 800 followers on Twitter. We're trying to get it to 1,000 as soon as possible. With that being said, from here on out, like we said, 2 H's up in the air now since Achi Achi's coming to H-Town. So thanks, guys.
I've been losing sleep, what to do? Could somebody come and take me away? I've been in the deep without you, and I got it in my head night and day. But we are one step closer. We're all in this together. Put your hand in mine. Yeah, we are one step closer. Can you feel it, baby? It's the end of the line. It looks like we made it. Let's get it on. We got it going, moving on. Oh, it looks like we made it. Let's get it on. We got it going, stay strong. Oh, it looks like we. It looks like we. Yeah, it looks like we made it. Let's get it on. We got it going, stay strong. Oh, it looks like we made it. Wake me from this dream I've been in. I need to get in closer to you. I swear you my vaccine. Oh baby, I've been waiting.